A wet mystery. Mother and father living in the north of Canada went shopping, leaving their teenage son home. He said he wanted to mount his new TV on the wall. They were halfway to the mall when Mother remembered she'd left the iron plugged in. They returned and found the house freezing cold. Mother turned on central heating again and they left for good. When they came back after a while, there was water dripping from the ceiling on the first floor, and on the second, their son was lying unconscious in a pool of water on the floor, and the TV was hanging on the wall askew. Can you guess what happened? The young man hauled a big chunk of ice upstairs to stand on it while he mounted the TV. He turned off the heat for the ice to stay frozen, but when his mom turned it on again, the chunk melted and the boy slipped and fell. A code number. A detective who had been mere days away from cracking an international criminal gang has suddenly gone missing. But he was smart enough to try and help the investigators in their search by leaving one clue, more specifically, a special code: 710-57735-34 5508-517718. The police have three prime suspects: John, Bill, and Adam. Can you break the detective's code and help the police arrest the right criminal? The numbers in the detective's code represent letters. If you read the message upside down, you'll notice that it says, "Bill is boss. He sells oil." So, Bill's your guy. Cuff him, boys. A lousy alibi. A man had been strolling through the park when someone suddenly hit him on the back of the head. Witnesses say the culprit had brown hair, blue eyes, and was wearing a baggy suit. The main suspect is Sean Baker, who matches the description perfectly. The police interrogate Sean, who gives his account of what happened. "I was just hanging out in the park, and I saw this man walking along the pathway. Then some other guy suddenly sprang out of the shrubs right in front of him and hit him. I ran home as fast as I could." The police ask him to give a description of the attacker. He answers, he had a red mustache, red hair, and a baggy suit on. However, one of the investigators says Sean is lying. How does he know? Sean claims that the attacker came up in front of the man, but that's complete nonsense. The man had been hit on the back of his head. Strange noises. Amy and Carl were lying in bed at night when they heard weird noises from their daughter Stacy's bedroom. Amy went to see and carefully opened the door, but saw her teenage daughter fast asleep and the noise stopped. The next night, it all happened again, and in the morning, Amy found a snakeskin lying under Emily's bed. Alarmed, the family searched the whole house but couldn't find the snake that left it. Still, the sound persisted every night. Can you guess where the snake was hiding? It was in the walls. At night, when it was quiet, the snake would crawl out in the open, but when everyone woke up again, it hid inside the pipes and between the boards. A careless granddaughter. Sally went to the drugstore to get some meds for her grandma. The pharmacist looked at the prescription and handed her 4 identical pills, 2 for pressure and another 2 for her legs. He warned Sally that Grandma should take 1 of each kind a few hours before bedtime. The girl nodded and dropped the pills into her bag. As she got home, Sally realized what she did wrong. There were 4 completely identical pills in her bag, all mixed up. But when it was time for Grandma to take the pills, Sally figured a way out. What did she do? The only way out of this situation is to split all the pills in half and take 1/2 of each pill. This way, Grandma will definitely get the right meds. The chicken matter. Sally's grandma, yep, that same one, got 3 hens that gave her 3 eggs in 3 days. When Sally found this out, she decided selling eggs could be a good business, so she got her grandma 12 more hens of the same kind. Sally can't wait to get her profit, who wouldn't be? But she's not that great at math. Can you help her figure out how many eggs Grandma will get in the next 15 days? Three hens brought Grandma 3 eggs in 3 days. It means 1 hen brings 1 egg once in 3 days. So it'll give 5 eggs in 15 days. Now that we've got 15 hens, we can easily multiply the numbers and get 75 eggs in 15 days. A window to freedom. Jack is thrown in a cell with a dirt floor and only one window positioned so high no one could reach it. The cell is empty except for a shovel. It's dry and hot in there, but Jack won't get any food or drink anytime soon. He has only 2 days to break out of his cell. Digging a tunnel would take at least a week. How should Jack escape? He should use the shovel to make a pile of dirt under the window, climb on it, and escape from the cell. Seriously, who secures prisoners this way? Back to school. On the first day of the school year, a geography teacher vanished. The police had as many as 4 suspects. They were the gardener, the math teacher, the coach, and the school principal. The sticking point was that they all had alibis. The gardener was cutting bushes. The math teacher was holding a mid-year test. The coach was playing basketball. The principal was in the office with parents of one of the students. Despite this, the culprit was arrested immediately. Can you guess how the police solved the mystery? The math teacher was lying. According to his words, he was holding a mid-year test, but the geography teacher disappeared on the first day of the school year. Late delivery. A lonely old man lived in his house in the suburbs of a city. He led a quiet life and never left his dwelling for long. It was a midsummer Friday when the mail carrier walked by and called out for the man. There was no answer coming from inside the house. The carrier looked into the window and, oh no! He saw the house was a total mess, and the owner was nowhere to be seen. When the police arrived, they found a Tuesday's newspaper, 2 bottles of warm milk, and 1 bottle of cold milk. The next day, the robber was arrested. How did the police find out who it was so quickly? It was obviously the mail carrier. He knew that no one in that house would read a newspaper on Wednesday or Thursday. That's why he only came on Friday. There's chemistry between them. A famous chemist went missing. There was no evidence found except for a piece of paper with the names of chemical substances on it. On the day he disappeared, the chemist had only 3 visitors: his wife, Mary, his nephew, Nicholas, and his friend, Jonathan. The police looked at the note and arrested the culprit right away. Who was it, and how did they find it out? It was Nicholas, the chemist's nephew. If you combine the short names of the chemical substances on the paper, you'll get his name: Nicolas. An untouchable car. A man was found unconscious in his own car. The police found a rock near the man, and it was obvious he had been hit on the head with it. But the car windows were intact, and the door was locked. How could someone throw a rock into the car without damaging it? The car was a convertible, and when the rock was thrown, the roof had been down. A public collapse. One city was having a rough patch. Its schools, hotels, and public transport weren't functioning because of a strike that had already lasted for several weeks. One night, someone hit the mayor of the city over the head. The man was rushed to a hospital, and the police arrested 3 suspects. Brandon stated that he had been walking along the street when he heard someone scream, but it was too dark and he couldn't see anything. John confirmed that he had heard a call for help as well, but he was too scared to check it out. As for Dylan, he claimed that he had been waiting for a bus at a bus stop and hadn't heard anything. Who attacked the mayor? It was Dylan. He couldn't be waiting for a bus since they hadn't been running for several weeks because of the strike. So, do you have the sharpest eye and a huge love for puzzles? Well then, I've got a real treat for your brain. Some fresh, crispy riddles to satisfy your intellectual hunger and test your attention to detail. 3 friends go on a summer trip around Europe together. They meet 3 girls and tell them about themselves. Steve says he has a business empire back in the US. John claims he's just inherited several million bucks. Jake mentions he is a successful athlete, but only one of them is actually rich. Can you figure out who? Well, it's tricky to tell, but looks like Jake is the one who's really well off. He has a watch made of gold, and it looks pretty legit. There are 2 customers inside a jewelry store when the light goes off for a second, whoops, and the most massive golden necklace disappears. Can you guess who stole it? It was the girl holding the flowers. Look, the necklace is hiding inside her bouquet. Adam is about to go out and celebrate his birthday, when suddenly he slips on a banana peel, no really, and loses his memory. 3 girls show up at his house and claim to be his wife. He must be a really popular man. But of course, only one girl really is his wife. Can you figure out which one? Although she looks pretty hostile and didn't bring a gift, the girl number 2 is his wife. Adam and she have the same wedding rings. Nancy and Liza are sitting on the same beach in the park. They are around the same age, but live very different lives. One of them is loaded, and another one has other priorities. So, who looks rich here? Nancy must have spent a lot of money on plastic surgeries to look like this. And that designer bag casually standing behind her also costs a fortune. Mr. Potter hired 3 new security guards for his company. He came to meet them in person as they would be responsible for his expensive equipment. At that moment, he realized there was one impostor among them. Can you point him out? It's the guy in the middle. He looks just like the others, except the word security is misspelled on his uniform. 3 girls are getting ready for a night out. They're doing their makeup and chatting, but one of them is actually hiding a secret. She might feel like a woman, but she's physically a man. Do you see who it is? The first person is a man who's hiding their Adam's apple behind the scarf. Rita went to the countryside to enjoy some peace and quiet. She was watching 7 beautiful birds sitting on a fence when suddenly she heard a loud bang out of nowhere. Someone was shooting at the birds. How many of them are left on the fence now? Zero. Luckily, they all flew away when they heard the noise. 2 sisters are hitchhiking in Italy. No one wanted to pick them up for a while, but a truck finally stopped and the driver promised to take them to Rome in no time. The sisters are happy at first, but then one of them notices something on the road and tells her sister they need to get out of that truck. What did they see? The road sign said Rome was 100 kilometers away when they got in the truck. The next sign they noticed said it was 212 kilometers away, so they're going in the opposite direction from it. Someone stole an important document from Piper's desk. She interrogates 3 of her colleagues who could have done it. Nash says, "I spent the whole morning preparing the monthly report and didn't even stand up once." Emma says, "I walked past your desk, but only to get some cappuccino from your machine." Ben claims he just arrived and didn't even know about any important papers. Who's lying here? Emma. There's a coffee maker behind Piper's desk, but it doesn't make cappuccino. A famous singer is on vacation at a luxurious resort. There, she meets a handsome guy who is flirting with her. She feels relaxed and tells him many of her secrets. Suddenly, her bodyguard approaches the singer and tells her she shouldn't trust the guy. Why? It's sweet that the guy has a teddy bear with him, but those red lights inside the bear's eyes are hidden cameras. The guy was filming the entire conversation, and who knows what he can use it for. Someone robbed the designer watch section at a busy mall. The criminal couldn't make it out of the mall because they noticed security looking for them. They ran into a fancy dress boutique. Can you find the criminal here? Well, even if the person in the middle has really big feet, they wouldn't try on a fancy dress with dirty sneakers. The criminal must be there. Someone kidnapped 3 women in one town, one by one. All the girls say they don't remember anything, but in the morning, the criminal would drop them off at the same place, seemingly unharmed, but their hair got a bit shorter. When the criminal grabs the 4th girl, the police follow them and break into their house. There, they instantly understand why he needed the girls. Do you see it? Looks like this guy has a collection of miniature dolls, and he needed the girls' hair to make the dolls more realistic. Come on, really? Sarah has saved up enough money to open her own hair studio. She wants to buy an office in a new building for it. She has 2 final options. One is smaller and less chic, but it's ready. The other is way larger and looks more expensive, but she'd have to wait a bit. Which one should she choose? Well, Sarah must have a lot of patience if she chooses the second option. It says, approximate completion date 2055. Well, she had better bring a big lunch. Miranda went to an innovation conference and met 3 cool guys there. They were all charming, but something felt wrong about one of them. Miranda figured out it was not a real person, but a robot from the conference. How did she guess? That guy is charging his phone through a cable connected to his leg. Humans don't have that superpower yet, although I wouldn't mind testing it. James is a little obsessed with the idea of becoming the richest person in the world. One day, he meets an old woman who claims she has magical powers and can make any wish come true. But he has to wish for someone else, not for himself. Still, James managed to trick the old lady and have things his way. What did he wish for? He wished for his parents to have the richest son in the world. Clever. Leslie was window shopping when she saw her husband Nick inside one of the clothing stores. She got confused because he was supposed to be at work, so she went inside to confront him. Nick said he was picking up an outfit for his company's end-of-the-year party. But Leslie didn't believe him and understood he was cheating on her. How did she know? Leslie could see a woman hiding behind the curtains in the fitting room, and Nick had a lipstick stain on his shirt. There were 3 thefts at a local supermarket, one in January, one in April, and one in June. The security camera recorded footage of all 3 situations. A private detective looked through that footage and immediately figured out who the criminal was. Can you? In all 3 videos, there is a pregnant lady, and her belly looks exactly the same size in January, April, and June. That's physically impossible, and it means that she was the thief. She must have been faking the pregnancy all along. So, did you manage to solve all the riddles, or did they manage to trick you instead? Tell me in the comments below.
3 tourists entered an ancient pyramid and found a chamber with an inscription. "What does not honor the pharaoh shall remain here forever." They saw 3 buttons with the following symbols: the sun, a scarab, and an ankh. There was also a warning that only one button opens the passage, and the others trigger dangerous traps. One of the tourists immediately pressed the correct button. Which button was it, and why did they choose it? It was the ankh. In ancient Egypt, it symbolized life, so it's the most logical choice. A golden amulet went missing during an excavation. Anna claimed she spent the day photographing wall paintings. Jack said he'd been studying the treasure map inside the tent. And Lena said she had been sketching outdoors. But the tracks in the sand led from the tent to the pyramid and back, and those were deep, narrow footprints with small heels. Do you know who took the amulet? It was Lena. She was the only one outside, and the small-heeled footprints point to her. An archaeologist descended into a lost Mayan pyramid and discovered 3 ancient masks. Which mask should he choose to find the treasure and stay alive? He should pick the jade mask with the symbols of the storm god. The Mayans trusted him with their gold and secrets. As for the rest of the masks, the golden snake is a symbol of the underworld, and it can lure one to their demise. And the jaguar is associated with aggression and night hunting, so it can lead Nathan to danger. 3 archaeologists, Dr. Laura, Mr. Thomas, and Professor Blake, are exploring a lost Mayan temple. they discover 3 stone tablets with mysterious symbols and inscriptions. Dr. Laura chooses the mirror-shaped symbol. Mr. Thomas touches the carved serpent's eye. Professor Blake steps onto the stone with a crescent moon. Who is in danger? Professor Blake. He stepped on the moon symbol, which warns he won't return. Mr. Thomas awakens the curse, and only Dr. Laura chooses wisely. She unlocks the path to the treasure. Jack finds an ancient Mayan scroll with an engraved message. Where the sun bids farewell to the day, where the river coils like a snake, where moss always hides in the shade, there the pyramid's peak is hidden from view. Jack stands by the river with a dense forest in the north, rocky cliffs and the blazing sun in the south, a clear path in the east, and a river surrounded by trees in the west. Where should Jack go? West. That's where the sun bids farewell, or sets. The river curves like a snake, and the trees provide shade. Alex arrives at a remote jungle village, hoping to find the lost ruins of an ancient Mayan city. 3 people offer to guide him. A pretty woman wants $500. An old man with a donkey wants $50. A cheerful guy in a Hawaiian shirt promises to guide Alex for $300. Only one of these people is a true guide. Can you tell who? The real guide is the old man with the donkey. He asks for a reasonable price. He's not flashy or pushy, and he has a map and a means of transportation. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is, try to understand. Once, something went wrong. Yep, again. And he got locked in a tiny room. To open the door, the guy had to solve a riddle and enter the correct 4-digit code. What code should Justin enter? Each digit of the code is the number of letters in the alphabet that stand between the letters in the riddle. So, the code is 5139. There are 3 doors in front of you, with snakes, scorpions, and scarabs behind each of them respectively. You need to choose the safest one. Hopefully you know that scarabs are harmless, so you should pick the 3rd door. One day, Julia fell asleep in the park. She woke up in a strange room with 3 doors. There were random objects lying around: bricks, empty bottles, ropes, and even a barrel. There was also a note on the wall. Behind one of these doors, there's a staircase that leads to freedom. You don't want to know what's lurking behind the other 2 doors. Julia got really frightened, but she managed to get out soon. What did she do? She dragged the barrel toward each of the doors, climbed on it, and checked whether the staircase was there. Once she spotted it, she was free. Look at these people attentively. Who do you think is in greater danger? The lion won't necessarily attack the man, of course, if he doesn't provoke the animal. If the guy tries his best to look unthreatening, the lion might simply ignore him. But the snake can easily tighten its grip, which can end very badly for this girl. Mr. Smart's wife went missing. A detective came to investigate this case. Mr. Smart told her that the last time he'd seen his wife had been in the morning. She was having breakfast. When he returned home at 6 p.m., her breakfast was still on the table, but she had disappeared. After hearing the man's story, the detective immediately arrested Mr. Smart. Why did he do so? When the detective arrived at the Smart's house, the breakfast on the table was still steaming. This means Mr. Smart had set up the scene right before he called the police. Do you see anything suspicious in this room? I'll help you. One object is haunted. A small hint: pay attention to those balloons left after a small party. Have you noticed that the red balloon has a pin in it? But strangely, even pierced, the balloon remains intact, and the air is still inside. It must be the haunted object. Look at these elderly ladies. Both of them have gone out for a walk. At first glance, they seem totally normal, but one of them is actually planning something bad. Can you figure out which granny it is? It's the granny on the right. She's got a file hidden in her knitting basket. A renowned chemist disappeared right from his lab. There was no evidence except a piece of paper lying on his desk. It had the names of 5 elements: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, and sulfur. The guard reported that 3 people had visited the chemist that day: his sister Laura, his colleague Nicholas, and his wife Tessa. The criminal was arrested immediately. Who was it? The list of chemicals is a clue. Their abbreviations spell out the name Nicholas.